Theaters. Hi folks, welcome to the Blacksmith Shop. I'm Lin Rhea from the Historic Arkansas Museum. Today we're thinking about making use of some scrap material. So one of our local blacksmiths here in the shop is needing a belt buckle. And so we thought, well, we'll just take some scrap material and start building a forged belt buckle. Now, while we don't have time to do the entire thing on camera, I'd like to show you how that we can make parts of it and start getting them ready. Now this, of course, is a standard belt buckle that you might see anywhere on a man's belt. So we're just going to get some stock ready to make this little keeper, and then I'll make a loop on it, and I just want to show you how that you can just make it out of scrap. But before we do that, look at here. This is just some stock, and that may be spring steel, but it's about the right size, and it's scrap. And here's some more that's a little smaller that would probably work as well for a smaller buckle, maybe for a ladies or for a dress belt. But so scraps, these are scraps. You can make no telling how many of these little pieces like that, and then you use a little bit bigger stock to make that. And we'll get into that later, or we'll show you a finished product next week or something like that. But to start with, I just want to show you some hot work, how we take some just a random piece of stock and change the shape of it and start drawing it out to make that little keeper on that belt buckle. And if you're in your shop and you're trying to think of some gift to make for one of your family members, this makes a really good gift, and it's pretty special too. Let's get this hot. And I'm using a stick of 1/4 inch square, and I'm just going to use the end of it and start drawing it out. And you usually start by making it square. We're still in our first heat. And I'm not worried about really how long that is. That's long enough to make that one loop. It'll be in this position. So the loop that you're seeing right there will be on the end of my bar. But it's still square, so I'm going to round it. I'm going to start rounding that and make the loop. Once I get that shaped, I can actually come back up the bar any amount or any length I need after the fact. It's on a handle right now, so to speak. It's still attached, really easy to handle. I may as well use that and take advantage of it. So it's square, we're going to round it. So if you've got a square and you want to round that, you take the corners and bring them in. And you have an octagon. And then you start taking all those flats and rolling it, tapping it, and you end up with a round. You just do that by hammering smoothly and carefully. Okay, here we go. Now we've got it on a diamond shape, and I'm just tapping flats into the corner. And now I'm going to start rolling it. picking a spot on the anvil that's kind of smooth. If I strike it too hard, it will get hot again. It'll turn red again. I know that sounds weird, but the molecules will build up friction and it'll get hot. Sometimes you want to do that, but this time I want it to cool off. So the size of it is appropriate. So now let's make that little eye-shaped loop on the end. So I have to, when I'm thinking about it, I have to estimate the length of that piece that comprises the circle or the loop on the end. That looks like about close to an inch, maybe not quite an inch. So that's the part I want to bend over to start with. It's about 7/8 of an inch, give or take. Okay. So first thing I would do is hang that much over, and sorry about moving around so much, but I've got to work with this anvil. So I've got about that much turned up. Now we'll bring that around and we're going to try to make that circle be equal or centered in this bar. We're working with a really small piece. That's a good thing when you consider that scrap material is being used and we're not cutting into new stock and sort of wasting new stock. We're using scrap material. So this is a good use of those small bits and pieces that you see or that you end up with when you cut off of another bar. So this is a good, very efficient use of material. Sometimes though, using really small pieces, doing small work, it requires you to really slow down and really take your time with the heat. But you can burn it up, or you can get too rough with it. Now let's use the anvil to help with that. I'm gonna see it loses heat so very fast that I'm gonna have to keep heating it up and doing it again. And I could use scrolling tongs, probably make it a little bit easier. Scrolling tongs is a project we're about to make too in here in the Blacksmith Shop. And you just simply grab that and just twist it around like a pair of pliers. But scrolling tongs have points and it's smooth, the jaws are smooth, so it won't scar it up. We don't actually have a set of scrolling tongs, but we do have some tongs. Let's just see what we can do with those. Kind of get the point, the point how it would work by just looking at that. I'm trying to get to where you can see without blocking the view too much. So we're going to leave it open so we can slip it onto the actual workpiece. And we may do a little bit of inside filing in that curve to kind of have make a cylindrical shape to the inside. That's not going to be a problem. And we'll forge this longer as we need it. It depends on the actual buckle. the size of the square, as it were. So if we can hook that in there like that and make that work, we can slip it on and close the gap. And this test that I just did, if the square is a little smaller than that, then we got sufficient amount of material in that hook and that curve. But if we use it too big, I'd have to borrow some more material to make that curve. So this is just one small thing that we're doing that to show a project that you can make in your shop that don't take a lot of heat. You have a really, really small fire. You can actually probably heat most of this project up with a small torch, or a bottle torch, like a mat gas or something like that. But if you have a coal forge and a handle and a vise and some few pairs of tongs, you're set. You can make some of these things and make them really pretty, make really good gifts. Your imagination is the limit. So that's what we want to show you and share with you, and then maybe next week we'll have a finished buckles for you to look at. I think it'll be pretty neat. But we're going to continue on. We're glad you're able to join us here in the Historic Arkansas Museum Blacksmith Shop. Again, I'm Lin Rhea. Thanks for being with us today.